We like to think of bugs as small. A fly you wave away. A spider you trap under a glass. Something you can end with a rolled-up magazine. For almost all of history, that was true. But there was one long stretch of time when it was very, very not. Right now, 300 million years ago, a dragonfly the size of a hawk is hunting over a black swamp. Below it, a scorpion as long as your leg is moving through the ferns. And somewhere in the mud, something longer than a car is dragging itself along on dozens of legs. In this world, the bugs won. This is Ashborne ancestors. And this is the age when insects became the monsters. I am going to walk you through the giants of that world. From the merely alarming to the frankly ridiculous. And here is the one thing I want you to hold on to. Every single one of them grew this big for the exact same reason. It is the same reason not one of them can ever come back. And the answer is not teeth, or claws, or evolution. It is the air. Stay with me, because it has been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Let me put you there first. This is the Carboniferous, around 300 million years ago. The land is one vast, dripping swamp. The trees are not really trees yet. They are giant relatives of mosses and ferns, some of them 40 meters tall. The air is thick, warm, and wet. And that air, I promise you, is the whole story. So let us meet the first giant. And it is already over your head. This is Meganeura. And its bigger cousin, Meganeuropsis. On paper, a dragonfly. In practice, a flying predator with a wingspan of up to 71 centimeters. That is about as wide as a large hawk. It is the biggest insect that has ever been found. And honestly, nothing alive today even comes close. And it did not drift lazily over a pond. It patrolled the open air like a bird of prey, with huge compound eyes bulging up toward the sky, so nothing could ever sneak above it. Its legs folded into a spined basket. When it caught something in the air, that basket snapped shut, and it ate its prey alive, still flying. Let me tell you, if you have ever had a wasp ruin a picnic, just be grateful it was not the size of a seagull. But here is the part that gets me. A dragonfly this big should not be able to breathe. Insects have no lungs. They pull air in through tiny tubes, and that system has a hard size limit. So the fact that this thing could get off the ground at all is a clue. Remember it. We come back to it, and it explains everything. The next one gave up the sky for the forest floor. And it came with a stinger. Meet Pulmonoscorpius. The name means the breathing scorpion, and it turned up in the rocks of East Kirkton, in Scotland. This was a scorpion around 70 centimeters long. Not 70 millimeters. 70 centimeters. Roughly the length of your leg from hip to ankle, walking toward you, claws open, tail arched over its back. We do not actually know how strong its venom was, because venom does not fossilize. But it carried the full kit. Heavy pincers to grip. A stinger on a segmented tail. Built exactly like the little scorpions, hiding under rocks today. Just scaled up to a size your nervous system would like to formally complain about. And this is the detail I cannot shake. Its eyes suggest it may have hunted in low light. So picture it. A thing that size, moving through a black, humid forest, at night, hunting almost blind. Sleep well, quick one for you. Dragonfly or scorpion? Which would you rather run into? Hold that answer, because the next one is where this whole story gets strange. So far, every creature has been exactly what it looks like. This next one is famous for being something it absolutely was not. Meet Megaarachne. When it turned up in Argentina in 1980, the name said it all. Mega giant. Arachne, spider. Scientists announced it as the largest spider that ever lived. A body over a foot long. A leg span that could cover a dinner plate. It went straight into books, in documentaries, and into the nightmares of an entire generation. For 25 years, Megaarachne was the king of giant spiders. There was one small problem. It was not a spider. Here is the twist, and it is a good one. The original fossil got locked away in a bank vault. So for years, most scientists were working from a copy, not the real thing. Then in 2005, researchers finally got their hands on the actual specimen, plus a second, better fossil. And the whole story fell apart. Those were not spider legs. They were the flat, paddle-shaped swimming limbs of a sea scorpion. Megaarachne was never stalking a forest. It was paddling through water, and it had been filed as the biggest spider on Earth for a quarter of a century. Honestly, I love this one, because it is a reminder that even the monsters in the textbook are sometimes just a very confident guess. Which brings us to the big one. The one that makes everything so far look like a warm-up. If you remember one image from this whole video, make it this. Meet Arthropods. It looked like a millipede, and it may have grown to around 2.5 meters long. Sit with that for a second. That is longer than you are tall. This is the largest land invertebrate ever found. A segmented giant, as long as a small car, rippling across the forest floor on dozens of legs. If you saw its track pressed into the mud, you would swear something with a backbone made it. Nothing with a backbone did. For a long time, we only had scraps. Bits of shell, fossil footprints. A segment here, a segment there. Then in 2018, a huge chunk of it was found on a beach in Northumberland, in England, when a block of sandstone dropped off a cliff and cracked open at exactly the right angle. When researchers finally described it, they put the full animal at well over 2 meters and around 50 kilograms. A bug that weighed as much as a grown adult. And here is the twist that somehow makes it worse. This giant was almost certainly a vegetarian. As far as we can tell, it hunted nothing. It spent its whole life grinding through rotting plants and forest litter, a gentle, enormous recycler. It was not chasing you. It just wanted the leaves. Which, I am sorry, somehow makes a 2.5 meter armored millipede even more unsettling. The scariest thing in this forest did not even know you were there. So there they are. The hawk-sized dragonfly. The leg-length scorpion. The spider that lied. And the car-sized millipede that only wanted salad. Now for the question I promised you at the start. Why? Why could bugs get this big back then, when the largest insect today is a beetle you can hold in one hand? Here it is, and it was in the air the whole time. During the Carboniferous, the atmosphere held far more oxygen than it does now. The air you are breathing today is about 21% oxygen. Back then, it may have climbed to around 35%. Nearly double. And that one number changed everything. Remember the dragonfly that should not be able to breathe. Insects breathe passively, through tiny tubes that carry air in from the outside. In our air, those tubes can only feed a body up to a certain size, before the middle of the animal begins to suffocate. That is the ceiling. That is why the bugs around you are small. But push the oxygen up toward 35%, and suddenly those same little tubes can feed a much larger body. The ceiling lifts. And life, given room to grow, always grows. So the giants were not freaks of nature. They were exactly as big as the air would allow. And then the air changed. The great swamp forests died back. The oxygen fell. And the sky thinned toward what we breathe now. And the ceiling came crashing down on every one of them. A body tuned for a rich atmosphere simply could not breathe in a poorer one. They did not lose a war. They ran out of air. That is why, whatever you have seen in the movies, a bug the size of a dog is never coming back. The world that built it is gone. So the next time you flick something small and harmless off your arm, remember this. Its ancestors ruled the biggest forests this planet has ever grown. They were bigger than you. They were older than every backbone alive. And they only shrank because the world stopped feeding them. In their age, the bugs won. You just happened to live in the quieter, thinner one that came after. And that is the only reason you are here to hear about it. So tell me down in the comments. Of these four, which one would you least want to meet in the dark? I already know mine. If this changed the way you look at the little things around you, subscribe to Ashborne Ancestors. Because the next creature we dig up ruled the water long before anything crawled onto land. And it was stranger than anything alive today. Before history was written, survival was the story. I will see you in the next one.